Got a question, Todd? Go ahead and ask it. Beekeeping, live honeybees. You got a question about your beehive? What went right? What went wrong? Jump on in there, Philip. You got your mic on, Philip?
Not sure, Don.
I hear you.
Okay, I've got a question.
Okay.
In the early spring, when you start making queen cells, how specifically do you do it? I know you don't really like grafting. I know you like to crowd the bees into a queenless hive, but more specifically, how do you do it?
Well, you don't need to make the hive queenless. If you make a hive queenless, you actually stop your production. You're a whole lot better off just to crowd the bees by overfeeding them, let them get overpopulated, or get honey bound. Then they'll start making queen cells. But you can make them queenless. You just start losing. They're going to concentrate on making cells, and they're not going to go out and start hauling honey or nectaring for you. So that's the things you want to think about.
Okay, so in the early spring, when you start producing your nukes, you just... I
leave them in single stories as long as I can. And I let them tell me when they're going to make queen cells. So I go back in there about every 7 to 10 days and I'm checking. As soon as I see a 5-frame box or an 8-frame box and they're making queen cells, I keep my eye on it. I mark the box and then I go back in there. And if it's got 3 frames, it's got cells on all 3 frames. I'll make 3 splits right there. I'll mark those boxes and I'll come back. And when the cells are ripe, I'll start cutting out them cells and divide the cells up amongst more beehives.
Okay, and as the queen cell hatches and goes out and mates, when do you add additional bees to the nukes because they have very few resources? You have 1 frame of honey and just another frame. At what point do you add resources to that nuke or don't?
Well, basically, when I put the cell in a nuke box, a mini nuke or a 5-frame nuke box, I'm only going to use 1 frame, 2 at the very maximum. And I usually put the cell up against the wall and put a frame of honey against it. I will shake in a frame of bees, and I don't do nothing more to that hive until I go back and re-inspect. When that queen has hatched, goes out and mates, she comes back. And when she comes back, she's going to bring more bees. And I'll give her 3 to 4 days. And when I see she's laying, then I know she's not going to go out and remate or leave the hive. Then I'll shake in more bees. Or at that time, I'll add a frame to 2 frames of hatching brood at that time.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay. Joe, you on yet? We're running a minute early, so maybe Joe hasn't got in here yet. Yes, Mr. Campbell, I started to see if I could get things figured out here. You might have to jump in here and see what's going on. Mr. Campbell is going to be our co-host tonight, and he's going to help us out here because this is all Greek to me. Let's see if I can get You trying to get in, Mr. Campbell? Okay, let's see if I don't see how I can get you in here. The seat is unlocked. Philip got in, so you might have to. Are you still on there, Philip?
Yes, Don. I go by Keith. I'll fix
Okay.
that.
Okay. How did you get in? Did you just click on that calling?
Well, it actually came up automatically.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
You accepted or followed me.
Yeah.
And then it just came on automatically.
Okay. Maybe I did it this way. Mr. Campbell should be in.
There we go. Hi, Don.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, and you?
I'm doing good. Trying to learn how to do this high-tech stuff here.
Me too.
So basically, on this type of program, when somebody wants to come in and chat, I have to click on their name. Is that how it works?
I believe so. We have to accept it first to allow them in.
Okay.
You have to probably make me a co-host or something though too.
I don't know. Do you know where you go to do that?
No clue. Let me see if I can figure it out.
Okay. Ed is going to try to come in. Let me see if that works. You got your mic and camera on, Egg? Well, Thomas wants to know, he's in the chat here. He's wanting to know, bees are already at the top of the hive. He has a feeling that the honey's in the lower part of the hive. On a warm day, what you can do is go in there and reverse some of those frames. That's what I would do. Or I wouldn't try rotating that whole box. Well, I clicked on Ed, but so far he hasn't. It says he went on air, but he ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, it took a while for me to be able to log in as well.
Okay. I tried watching some of the tutorials.
That's good.
But I'm not picking up a whole lot. There should be a place somewhere on this screen where I make someone a co-host.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on it on my other screen right now, see if I can find where it is.
But if anybody else has any questions, they can either use the chat box and I'll try to figure out what they have.
Hey, Don, this is Keith. When do you start your earliest use?
I start making the queens, or I let the bees start making their queens when I see the pollen coming in sufficient amounts. If you don't have pollen, then you're not going to make any queens at all. So I'm not a big believer in artificial pollens and pollen substitutes. For one reason, I don't know where the pollen comes from, and I like to keep my hive as clean as possible.
But you also have to have drones.
You have to have drones. Yes, you do. Most people think they don't have drones going through the winter, but you do. There's drones in that hive year round. You don't have a lot of drones, usually in the spring, but nature's not going to remove every single one. They'll always have a way to survive. Okay, let's see. Malcolm, you're on. Got a question you can ask. If anybody's on here that knows more about this stuff here than I do, you certainly do know more than I do. Give us some pointers what we need to do. We need to keep this chat up and running and spread the good word about beekeepers.
Hi, Malcolm.
Malcolm, your microphone is muted.
Or he's gone. Don, I figured out how to do the co-host thing.
Okay.
If you move your mouse over top of the picture on my screen,
Yeah.
you should see like an H plus.
H plus?
Yeah.
I don't see no H plus on your picture where you're talking right now.
Yeah, like the little icon next to my name, maybe.
Let's see. No, you got a letter G next to your name. Click on it.
No, it said it's supposed to be an H plus. That's what provides me as a co-host. You can also remove type co-host.
Don't see it.
Or type co-host add. All right, let me keep trying to figure it out. Oh, okay. Try my icon at the top of the screen, where everybody's little pictures are.
Fine. Got to find you here.
I'm to the left of the B.
Left of the B. No, you're not left of. Well, let's see. Oh, left of the B. Okay. Let's see. No, not finding you.
Oh.
There it is. All right, I clicked on it.
Okay, there should be an H. Did you click on the H plus?
Okay, I clicked on that.
Yep. Okay, I got it on this end now.
All right.
All right. Hopefully, I can figure it out too. Let's let Ed. Ed's trying to get in still.
Well, I expect we'll probably have some little glitches, but there's more people out there that know more about this stuff than I do.
Okay.
Did it make you co-host yet? Don't look like it.
Yes, I did. I let Ed in. Ed's trying to get in, I think. Are you there, Ed? Okay.
Now the H next to your name has got an X over it. Does that mean?
That means you could probably kill me as the host, as a co-host.
Don't do that. No one do that now.
Not yet. All right. Well, Ed's not being able to get in here, so maybe we should let somebody else in.
Okay. What do I do when I want to let somebody else in? Do I have to X out somebody?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay.
All right. We have somebody else. Garza Farm.
Okay.
Unless you.
How you doing?
Hello.
Garza Farm. Welcome.
Huh? Nothing.
You got a good bee question for us, or?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get somewhere that is more quiet.
Oh, the kids got to make some noise too, you know.
Well, no, that was the wife.
Oh.
And geez. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you is what would you prefer, or what would you suggest for, because I'm beginning and I don't know nothing basically, and would it be better for me to go with a nuke or with packages or what? I'm out here in Colorado.
Okay, if you're in Colorado, the first thing I do is locate a bee club, go to the bee club, and get a few people there to give you some hand. And the thing about the packages versus the nukes, packages are a lot cheaper, but you're dumping them in a box that has just foundation. There's
Right.
no guarantee that they'll stay in there. I mean, sometimes they'll just up and leave. A nuke is already established, and anybody that's selling you a nuke, they should be able to open that box up in front of you, point out the queen, point out the brood to you, honey, pollen.
Mhm.
It should be an established hive. Now, if they don't want to open it up, don't buy a pig in the poke.
Right.
I mean, there is a lot of people that buy packages and have good luck with them. If you're going to buy a nuke or if you're going to buy a package, best thing to do is buy two.
Okay. Okay. There was I've been looking around the different apiaries around, and there's one guy, he has a decent prices on nukes, but he says that his bees are his queen is I guess self-mated, and they can be a bit aggressive.
No, I don't think that that's the case. All bees are basically self-mated unless they're artificially inseminated.
Right.
So the best thing to do is don't be shopping price. You want to find a beekeeper that you can watch him work his bees. If he's working his beehives with a full bee suit and lots of protection, then maybe those bees are a little more aggressive than what you want to work with.
Right. Okay.
Anything else? Michael, are you on? Garza, did you have any more questions?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You can just watch then unless you have any more questions, please.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Don, you have a question from Philip over there.
All right, Philip, go ahead.
No, it's on the screen.
Okay. My nukes, we have them, you pick them up here. They're 175 picked up in your box. So you bring your box here and we transfer them into there for you. Does that answer your question, Philip?
Yes, it does.
All right. I guess a lot of people are going to have to get, from what I'm understanding, this is a fairly new thing here. This is basically a Twitter comparable to what Google Hangouts is. So there's Joe.
All right, letting Joe in.
Joe.
In the meantime, Don, somebody had a question. How early do you add the second deep if trying to get honey?
Once you get, they cover at least 3/4 of the super of the box, then you add your box.
All right, here's Malcolm again.
I'm on. Tell them to go to my Facebook page and go to Fat Bee Man Club group.
Hi, Joe.
I'm on the air right now, so if you go to Fat Bee Man group. Oh, he never sent me no link, so I didn't get on. So, well, I don't have a link, so I'm already set up on another chat, so I'll catch him another time. All right. I'm on Blab. Yep. Go to Fat Bee Man group, and there's a link there on the Fat Bee Man group. All right, we'll see you. Bye. Evening, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hey, on your wax dipping board, what dimensions you got on that?
Well, what you want to do is basically take the same size as what you're going to get a deep box or a deep frame. I think mine's about It's about 10 inches wide and 17 and a half long.
Now you make
And I'm using a full 1-inch thick board.
Yeah, you make an exact size of what the wax will be, and then when it rolls out, it'll be a little bigger. Is that how you do it, or make it a little bigger to start with?
I make it about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch bigger to start with.
Okay. Yeah, I got my tank all built this week.
Oh, well, good.
Worked pretty sweet. I tried it out.
You'd be surprised at things you can learn.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to learn how to get in this thing.
Well, that's why Mr. Campbell is here helping us try to get this thing set up. And this is all new. And what I'm trying to do is get something I can kind of get on and get on myself. I'm having a problem with people sending emails and trying to get a link, and they can't get a link, and they're sending me tons of email. So hopefully we can get this going.
Now, how many does this let on a time to us call in?
This I was watching several other ones. I've seen as many as 40 and 50 people on, but only 4 people can actually get video chat. So you have to take your time and take your turn.
Okay. And I'll just get off here and let somebody else talk for a minute then.
Okay, Mel, can you get your camera and your mic fixed?
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Uh-huh.
Malcolm, you there? Okay, I'm going to let Ed in.
All right.
Michael had a question. He says, Don, do you see any issues with using plywood to make nukes?
No, I've used particle board, 20, 25 years ago. The only thing is you need to paint that stuff. Don't use marine grade that's treated with any chemical. But other than it just don't last as long. Anything you can put bees in.
Can you hear me, Don?
I hear you.
Okay, good. All right, I just want to make sure nothing was wrong on my computer.
I don't see you, though.
I'll let somebody else in. I'm going to watch you.
No, you're going to watch me. Well, everybody seems to get the camera shy. That's why we're doing this, so you can ask questions and, get on here.
Oh, you know what I was thinking too. When I was talking to you on the phone the other day,
right?
I wonder if the moisture from my my hive is causing the sugar to get wet and start running down the side of the hive.
Definitely. If you listen to the videos I put up, I've mentioned it on the last 3 videos. In November, you don't want to feed sugar water. Put dry sugar on top of the frames. Now you can put a piece of newspaper across the frames and just put a pile of dry sugar. The moisture from the bees will make it wet enough. Now you're seeing that firsthand.
This is dry sugar that I put on there, but I wonder if maybe the moisture from the bees itself is causing it to get real wet,
In your situation, from what you explained to me, is you have your hive sealed up so much, there's no moisture escaping. So you've got a natural buildup of moisture. And there's moisture coming off those bees. If you vent that hive on the top and on the bottom, you should eliminate a lot of that moisture.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Don, you had a question from Les Byler. He says, when you populate the mini nukes with 1 cup of bees, do you shut the bees up in the mini nukes or for 2 days or let them free?
Well, I do basically let them free, but it depends on how many bees you have and depends on the age. When you work those hives enough, you can look at the bees and you can tell if they're nurse bees or if they're field bees just by their color. So if you think you've got a lot of field bees, you can either put a screen across them. I use a thumbtack, and you can just open it like a little door and leave them closed up for a day, day and a half. Turn them out just before dark on the following day. But we don't do that. We just add extra bees, and we figure a half of them will populate back to the parent hive.
And you had a question from Thomas over there on the left.
All right, Thomas, let's see. Is brown paint too dark? Well, I haven't really found a bad paint yet. I mean, everything is good in its place. I have even used black, and black works great for a lid, especially if you're coming from winter, early spring, and you got those days where you have cool nights. You get that sun hitting it, and it acts like an incubator for you. But you can't run them in the summertime. It works against you. We're going to have a bunch of people in and out of here, I guess.
Yeah, they're coming in pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want. We want to spread the word. We don't want people to be bashful. Get in here. You know, we're all here to learn. Someone says, "Fat bee man, no way."
You're famous, Don.
Oh, no. I'm just trying to pass on experience, what works for me and what hasn't worked. And somebody said, is oil base good? Yes, actually, oil base is a pretty good paint. The only disadvantage of an oil base is you got to buy a lot of brushes. And I buy them in bulk where I can just use them one time, throw them away. And the reason for that is the mineral spirits to clean your brush up cost you so much money, it costs more than the paint. And you have to buy mineral spirits. Paint, if you use your head, you can get all the paint you want for free. I've never had to buy paint.
You have a question from Michael?
Okay, and you want to know if I only sell small cell nukes. The reason I have small cell is that's what I went with in 1990, and that's why I started selling the wax mills at 4.9. So yes, that's all we do run here. And so what's the best way to find a queen? Well, that's like looking for a needle in a haystack for some people. But what I found is don't look at it straight on at a 90 degrees. Hold it down towards your waist and look on it at an angle. That queen's going to stand right out. And you can also look across the frame on an angle, and you're going to see a circle where the bees are actually around the queen. There's two good things. Linseed oil, I'm not a big deal on the linseed oil. I mean, there's people that do it. They want that natural look. If you want to paint flowers and designs on it, that's great. Just do all that you want. But if you're going to do it as a commercial endeavor, you're not going to have the time to do that. And I'd also recommend if you're going to have more than 10 or 15 hives, white paint and nice straight rows, they look great, but they're not efficient. The bees in the beehive on each end are going to get stronger than the ones in the middle because you're always going to get drifting. So that's one reason if you look at my hives, they are all different colors. Bees fly by and they can see the color and they'll head to that hive first. Then they go by smell.
Welcome back, Joe.
Yeah, Don, you did mention that. What if you got all white hives and you paint the front of them a different color or designs on the front? Won't the bees find that? Be all right?
Well, I've had a couple of my students that set up 25 or 50 hives to take them back home with them. And they basically had them all raw wood, didn't even paint them. And they went up to the dollar store and bought these squares of vinyl. And they come assorted colors in a pack. So they just put thumbtacks on them.
Yeah, I got it better than that. Put the granddaughter out there with 5 cans of paint and tell her to paint what she wants on them. That's the easiest way.
Here you go.
Give her some crayons.
There you go. That's what I do. That's turn her loose.
Dino, you got a question? Shoot away.
Yes, I was wondering when you do the hive beetle with the political signs,
Right.
how often do you change out the boxes, or do you use any other thing for the hive beetle, or you just use just the political sign?
Well, the boric acid goes in the political sign, and the bees are going to tell you when they need changing. The first thing you're going to notice, they're going to start propolising the hole shut. And when you see a dozen or 2 dozen holes propolize shut, change them. And if they don't do that within 60 days, it's a good idea to change them out. Now, if you're going to run strong hives for honey, you're probably going to want to change the complete hive out every 90 days. That would be the most efficient way. Now, when I say change a hive out, try to find a hive similar color and take the hive and set it down on the ground off the stand, and then set the new hive up in position of where the original hive was. Put an entrance reducer in there, and then start from the outside of them frames and pull one frame at a time, checking for your queen. And then check for beetles, because the beetles are going to normally be in the corners of the hive on the bottom board, or they're going to be, if you're running inner covers, they're going to be up on the top of that inner cover, or they're going to be in your honey super. And then once you get the queen in the hive, if you've got any queen cells as you're going through, that's perfect time to move that frame either into a queen castle or making a split. And once you get all them frames out, best thing to do is take a hive tool up in the corner and start smashing beetles. Now, people that's producing honey, they'll end up getting 30 or 40 built up in the corner like that.
Do you use any other method? Just that?
As far as what, putting chemical in the hive?
For hive beetles, for treating hive beetles.
No, I don't.
Hive beetles.
The only other method I use, if you look at my videos, you'll see I got my stands, usually about 6 to 10 hives to a stand. If I got fire ant kills out there, I leave them. I don't poison them, because anything that's protein hits the ground, the fire ants will consume it. And the hive beetle has to reproduce or pupate in the ground. Nature will take care of itself if you give it half a chance.
Hey, Dino, I've heard of people putting microfiber cloth on the top of their hives, and the small hive beetles get stuck in that.
Yeah. There's several people that's tried different things. I have one student that uses that commercial landscaping cloth on the ground. I have another one who uses old tin, and he puts his hives on top of tin. And when the sun hits that tin, if anything comes out of the hive and hits the ground, it cooks it.
I also heard a gentleman one time tell me that he uses rock salt, little granule rock salt up underneath the hives, and he said that helped him a lot. I don't know if you ever heard that or not.
Well, there's a lot of different natural ways. You know, we could have 10 different chats here about everything there. It's like treating your hive with essence of oils. There's so many oils out there. There's so many ways to skin a cat.
I live in sand land where they're close to about an hour from the coast, and I have problems with the hive beetles, but also with the ants. And
whereabouts do you live on the coast?
I live close to a little town was Hamlet, North Carolina, but it's close to Rockingham, North Carolina.
Oh, I have a student right over there by Rockingham.
Yeah, that's we have a lot of trouble with ants, and that's my main problem right now.
You can take care of ants with cinnamon, or if you have an extreme ant problem, you can sit your stands up on 4x4s vertically in the ground, or 2-inch pipe, and you can coat them with grease, or you can even set the legs in a can of oil.
Yeah.
Those are your more natural ways to take care of stuff.
That's what I'm going to have to try.
All right, Don, you got a couple of questions adding up on the left side there.
Okay, let's see. Well, no, somebody wants to know here, Jeff wants to know if you use drawed comb from another hive, would it increase the chance that they wouldn't abscond? If you got some that's in current use, it probably would help if you put a frame of brood in there. But now, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat on that. If you're trying to build a lot of hives, if you take a frame out of the middle of a hive, make sure you don't have a queen on it. Set it in your box where you're going to put a new package, and leave the corking both ends. At that point, you dump your packaging, and then you come back in 3 days or 4 days, and then you pull that frame out. Because if the bees can't get the queen out, they start making queen cells. And then you take that frame and you make a split with it, and then just pull the cork out of the candy end, or actually the other end, and you can direct release that queen, because those bees will accept her. They've already accepted her a couple days. It's just another way to jump up from a few hives to a lot of hives real quick.
Okay, got another one from Philip there.
All right, for queen rearing, it's down farther. I can say something about queen rearing.
It says for queen rearing, which setup do you use the most? Queen castles, baby nukes, or 5-frame nukes?
Well, for queen rearing, I let the bees make their own cells. So I'm basically doing 90% cutout cells. That's my preferred method. The queen castle is basically for a backyard beekeeper who doesn't want to keep a lot of equipment, and you have a four compartment queen castle. You could go through 5 hives out there, and 4 of them got queen cells on 1 frame or 2 frames. You can drop 1 frame in each partition section. But you're going to have to go back there once the first queen hatches out and move that frame or cut them cells out at that point. So, you know, you could be working on plastic foundation, which I don't care nothing about. You can't cut cells out on plastic. So you can just move that whole frame. It's another way to make some splits without stopping your production on a hive. There's so many ways to set things up and to do things in queens and everything else, you know, that it's hard to put everything in one time.
Trial and error is what I've learned.
Trial and error is what I have learned, and what works and what don't work.
Yep. Garza Farm has another question. When making foundation, is the embosser the only way to imprint them? I saw silicone mats being used, but was wondering if there was other ways to do it.
Well, you could take 2 frames of pure coal that's drawed out pretty good and get a nice warm flat sheet. And I did a video on doing flat sheets. And once it's good and warm where it's real flimsy, you put it between two sheets of that pure coal and take a rolling pin and roll it back and forth. You're going to get some embossing on it. It's not the best, but I think it's a little best than a silicone mold, because that silicone mold, there's no way to make your uniform thickness of your frame wax. You know, one could be, they rate your frame, your wax on the amount of sheets per pound. And your commercial places is about 7 to 8.5 sheets to the pound. I'm running my wax mill at about 4 to 5 sheets to the pound. So when that wax is actually cool and you feel it, it feels like stiff plastic, and it's a lot more rigid. But that silicone mold, one might run 2.5 sheets to the pound. I watched 4 or 5 people do it, and there's no way you could regulate the thickness of each pour. And you could go through a lot of wax real quick trying that method.
Okay. Looks like we're... All right. Tulsa City Farmer says, I use Zwifter sheets, leaving them out to get the scent out, then put one across the top bars. It snags the hive beetles. So that's for you, Dino.
Well, I don't know if I'd do that.
Yeah, you don't want to get the scent in there. That could be pretty dangerous. And Joe May's back.
Hey,
Dino, did you have any other questions?
I did before I got on here. Now I got to remember them.
All right. Can I get
Just kind of jump off there and let somebody else jump in.
All right.
Because we're only limited to 4 windows.
Gotcha.
hey, Don, is this link going to be a permanent link to come back every week onto it, or is there a new one every week?
There, as far as I know, there'll be a new one every week on this. I'm going to have to do some more research on this. Welcome back, Malcolm.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, Don, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I take those Swisher, floor Swisher sheets that my wife uses on the floor, and when she's done with them, I hang them out on the line, and I take those and I put them on in my hive, and you will catch every single hive beetle in there. They chase them, bees chase them up in there. The bees don't get stuck to them, but them hive beetles do. And they work if someone's looking for something that's alternative.
Well, that's a new one on me. I might have to give that a try. Anybody else got a question they want to jump in here on?
Let's see. Yep, I got a few more coming in.
Okay.
You got any weather down there, Don, from this storm?
We got a little bit of snow, but cold weather is one thing.
Yeah, I think I might have lost one hive this week. I don't know. There was quite a few dead bees blocking the entrance. They're pretty bad, and I don't know. Shouldn't have been one of them I'd lost, but too cold to open them up and see.
Well, I had someone sent me an email about dead bees in the hive, and they said they was putting a stick in there. Now, what we used to do years ago is get an old turkey feather and slide it in gently, and you can kind of rake out those bees. Keep the entrance clear. That way, you don't have that debris building up in there.
Well,
Vanco, if you got a question, go ahead.
Well, actually, I just wanted to tell you a story of how far your influence has traveled.
Uh-oh.
I'm in Tennessee, and there was a man that I met through you, got bees from you, by the name of Gerald Atkins. Are you familiar with him? He's a pastor.
Yes.
And he got me started in beekeeping probably in 2010. And I do a program, it's under my name, called Unbelievable. And I've been doing it in Tennessee state prisons. I've been schools, do a lot of it at church. And I'm more in love with the process rather than getting stung all the time. So my uncle is the one that raised all the bees. I just went around telling everybody about them. So
That's good.
yeah, I just wanted you to let you know how far your influence went. And I was just thinking the other day, Donald should do a blab. So I'm so glad to see you on here because it's going to be incredible.
Well, I'm trying to learn the high-tech end of this stuff. We was doing Google Hangouts, and we could do 10 people at a time. But, another fellow offered to do a pay-per-view type deal because he was getting any meetings room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was because he was sick and, like that. I'm trying to get stuff where I can kind of do it myself. And I'm trying to get, more information out there to the masses. And on those meetings that we was having, we had a fellow from Russia. We had one from Croatia. We get them from all over. It's really astounding to the amount of people. I guess because my philosophy is it's just common sense, no high tech to it. It's just basically introduce someone to bees, and if they love the bees, everything else falls in place.
Exactly. This is what I use to teach with, and it's as simple as a bookmark. That's what it looks like right there.
Yeah.
And people they absolutely love it. I can't even sell enough honey. Usually at an event, I had a guy come there one night that was a beekeeper, and I didn't even have any honey with me because I always give some away because at the end of the program. And what I do is I attribute it to, I believe honeybees tell a story. I believe there's a reason why they're the only insect that makes anything a man can eat. And I think God created those. Okay. So that's my slant. But this man that was a beekeeper for years was selling it like crazy. And if I would have had, pints myself, I probably could have sold it, but he pops his trunk up and he's just running through it because I don't know if it's a Tennessee thing or whatever. We're having a hard time keeping bees. It's maybe it's lack of knowledge, but
there's a lot of people out there that's doing stuff. Hackenberg he had thousands and thousands of hives, but you're not actually seeing the whole true story. And my philosophy on that is beekeepers are their own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Bees will live in a tree. When man gets involved, and the trouble is everybody wants to be high tech. Every gadget comes out there. Everybody comes up with something. They go out and they try it, and they're killing the bees.
Right.
I try not to do very much to the bees, and I let the bees be bees. And I try not to inbreed. I try to get a selected stock and bring that in. And I preach all the time to people, this is not high tech. And once you get them to understand that and they watch the videos, I just wish I had more students here that would be involved with taking videos and stuff so we can spread that word. And when people get a hive from someone down the road someplace and they're out there wearing a bee suit and they get ate up, and you look at the videos, and I've got women out there with shorts and a blouse, no veil, no gloves, and they're handling the bees. Kids come up 10 years old and they're holding the bees. I mean, people have to understand if you're putting a chemical in it, it's going to agitate the bees.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I've had a lot of people that will tell me from all over parts of the country, there's two groups of people out there, the ones that hate me and the ones that love me. So
well,
I try not to give a lot of BS about the bees. You know, I talk a lot about them, but there's always a way to keep bees without spending a lot of money.
exactly. Well, I appreciate what you do. I mean, I learned a lot through watching the videos, and with my thing, I'm actually a pastor myself, so I do a lot of running around to where I don't really have that time to devote it, but it really fit my lifestyle, and there's nothing I love more than, exposing other people to bees. I don't do it as much as I would like to, but I've definitely earned enough stings to get my stripes, so.
Well, if I can get this down, I want, because I was just kind of scouting around on the different channels here, and there's not a whole lot about bees, or people they want to talk about everything from politics to whatever,
Yeah.
And they want to get on there and argue, and all I want to do is pass the word about bees and how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the group that I run on the Fat Bee Man group, if they get in there starting to spam or advertise stuff, I just kind of boot them out of there. And I don't want to, I got off of several bulletin boards where they're constantly, one beekeeper says, you're crazy, this don't work, you do it this way. It's on, bickering. Beekeeping from one end of the country and in other countries is basically beekeeping, but they have a slant to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't care a whole lot for, and people don't understand, the theory of bees build vertically. They don't build horizontally. And when people drive up with a coffin in the back of the truck and want to put a package in, I don't want to sell it to them.
Right.
Because there's nothing there. It's basically a top bar hive that, they listen to somebody else, and for what they paid for that top bar hive, they could have either built themselves a good hive or buy a good hive.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things that I do, Don, is, for instance, this person gave me this bottle. This was used in the Civil War, actually. And I fill them with honey. And so I sell collectible bottles. And so that's part of what I do as well.
There was for actually the Civil War that had wintergreen in for sterilization or alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, I just kind of want to let you know, and I really appreciate what you bring, and just let you know how far your influences went.
Well, I'm glad you're, picking up something.
Yeah.
You give me too big a head, I won't be able to sleep tonight.
Well, that's all right. It still fits in the screen.
Thanks for sharing, Vango.
See you.
Joe's back.
Hey, Don, I was at the hardware store today, and I had a guy want to buy 2 nukes off of him in the spring. I ain't advertised anything yet. And he said he bought
We'll see there.
He said, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Said he bought a beginner's book for beekeeping. I told him to throw it in the trash and get on YouTube and watch your video. I said, you learn everything you need to know.
Well, I hope, but you're right about that. There's too much in print that has got a little bit of truth to it and a lot of BS to it, or a lot of fluff to make the pages a little thicker so they have something to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many ways you can put bees in a box. You got to look at it that way.
Yeah. I told him he better watch the videos, and then when it gets warm, come over to my house for a day or two and see if that's what he really wants to get into.
Yeah, I'd let him handle the bees a little bit, and you'd be surprised.
Some people ain't cut out for it.
Well, it's like, some people, they cannot be around a dog. A dog growl at them. It's just like bees can sense if you have a fear or something about them, and they'll be on you.
Yeah. I got a nephew who owns hives too, and I've worked some hives with him, and he gets in a hurry and he gets frustrated, and as soon as he does, they start stinging him. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Don.
You got to be patient with them. Do you see that question from Philip that I posted?
Do I treat for mites year round? There's really no reason to treat in the wintertime for mites. Mites is usually starting around the spring and they peak at about July or August, and then they start tapering off. But a periodical treatment, in cooler weather, I wouldn't say cold weather. I don't think I would take a chance on. There's no need. And if you break up that cluster, you have a problem. And Michael wants to know if I ever feed patties in February. Nope, never do. If you feed a pollen patty to bees in February, you're going to stimulate a queen. And then if you don't have a honey flow and you're not feeding enough, you're going to have a hive that's going to starve in about 5-6 weeks. And I'm not big on pollen substitutes and feeding patties to start with, for the simple reason is you don't know where that pollen's come from. You don't know the composition of the pollen substitute. And why put something in your hive you don't know what you have control over? If you look at the front of the hive and they're bringing pollen in, they're going to gather enough pollen. The oxalic acid vaporizer doesn't really kill beetles, but it will run beetles out of a hive. And it's strictly a maintenance problem. If your hive is strong enough, you're not going to get a bunch of beetles in it to start with. The biggest thing, people cause their own problems by they call them beetle traps, and they fill them up with vegetable oil. And when that gets rank, that's like driving down the street and you smell a barbecue. You're going to look around and see where it's at. And the beetles smell that rank oil, and that's what attracts them. Keep the attractants out of the beehive, and you won't have a problem. Someone's seen a flow hive on Craigslist. Well, I've got a bridge I haven't sold yet. It's in New York City. If you look at the video I've done on my take of a flow hive, and I done mine for $20, so if you figure it's going to work and if you can justify it, buy it. Everybody has to make a living at something.
Let's see.
With all these people in here, everybody's bashful. Step up and show your face, or type it in here. Let's get it going.
You've got a question up there from Jerry.
All right, Jerry. He's ordered 2 packages from a local supplier. How should you start them? If you don't have any bees, you're just up the creek there. If you got a package, you're just going to have to put them in and hope they'll stick in that box there. But if you have other hives, take a frame of brood out, or 2 frames, and put it in there with the package, and that gives them a real good boost and more of a chance they're going to stay.
Don, have you ever used a queen excluder to keep the queen inside the hive?
That don't keep a queen inside the hive. I mean, a queen excluder, I only use them here on separate occasions. If we're going to shake a bunch of packages, we're going to go down a line. You can put a queen excluder between the brood chamber, make sure she's down there, and a honey super on top, and smoke the devil out of the bottom. And then you don't have to worry about a new student shaking out a queen in your box. The other way is in reverse, is when you set up nukes and you don't have a student that's sure of themselves and they're helping you out. Well, you put an empty box over the top of your nuke, and then you put your queen excluder between them, and then you shake a frame or 2 of bees in there, and then you puff a little smoke, and then you can double check, make sure it's a queen. It's a basically insurance policy that you don't put a queen in another hive.
Okay, thanks.
But, people don't understand about the whole thing of queen excluders. People come up here and they say they want honey. Well, it's common sense. If you want honey, more bees make more honey. And then they say, well, if I put a queen excluder on there, now I won't have the queen laying in my brood into my honey super. Well, if you took the queen excluder out and used common sense, add another box, more bees make more honey. That's my philosophy to that.
My mentor calls them honey excluders.
Right. And another thing a lot of people don't understand is when you put a queen excluder on, The bees have to squeeze through there, and that actually wears their wings out, and prematurely 50% of their life is gone. And if you run a small cell queen or a smaller queen, I have seen people had a queen stuck in that and try to get back out and pull the head off. And then you end up with a hive that's queenless. So
Right.
that's, that's what I have learned. I mean, I won't really use them. They're more of a detriment.
Yeah, I've stopped using them already.
You see a difference in it too.
Yep.
See, it goes back to the common sense of beekeeping.
All right. There's a question from Jeff. Says, how can I keep them small cell, foundationless, small cell foundation, etc., to keep your stingless bees the way you intended?
Well, I mean, there's no way you're going to guarantee that you don't have a queen go out. But one way to keep small cell is keep replacing with small cell or a starter strip of small cell. That's one way there. But bees are basically, they're going to do what they want to do. So if they want to swarm, a queen excluder is not going to stop them. Cutting the wings on a queen is not going to stop them.
Jerry Kriegel asks, would it be okay to put hives in a thick timber of all walnut trees?
If you put them in walnut trees, I would say you're not going to have a whole lot of beetles because the acid coming off the walnut. One of my videos I done where you can use a handful of walnut shavings about once a month to smoke your hive. It's a good natural beetle control and varroa mite control.
Okay. Waldor Big Bill asks, what your view on dual queen hive system?
Well, I mean, if you got one or two hives, I mean, it depends on what your ambition is. I have run a 2-queen hive. I've run a 3-queen hive. And once you get to a 2-queen hive, there's a lot more trickiness to manipulate. And, once the hive gets to a certain population, they're going to swarm on you. A good queen, you don't need 2 queens to do what one good queen will do.
Hey, Don, what was the name of that plant that you put on bee stings to keep it from stinging?
Plantain. Plantain is, I don't know if they grow it up there, but in the South, people, they used to, when they're kids, they'd pull the heads up and make a circle with them and pop the heads off. And plantain has got a flat leaf on it, and it's got 5 ribs on it. You could rub the juice on a bee sting, it'll pull the poison out and keep it from swelling.
Joe, I used it this summer. I got a sting right in the forehead, and I ran to my driveway where I knew I had plantain, chewed it up, put it on. I had no swelling, and the pain was gone within maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up on the internet and see what it looks like exactly.
Sometimes free advice works better than stuff you pay for.
All right, you got a question from Bill on here.
All right, let's see, where's Bill at here?
I put it on the screen for you. You should see it up in the middle.
Urban beekeeping, on a 25-story building? Actually, one of my customers is in Washington, D.C., and he basically founded or is really doing a lot on rooftop beekeeping. And there's a lot of plants and things that bees can work in the city. Evening, Alex.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. Did you have a question for Dom?
What are you talking about?
Beekeeping.
Beekeeping?
Beekeeping.
Beekeeping. Okay, I see. No, I just download this website, so I just doing researching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice to see you guys.
Okay,
thanks.
If you got a question, you can ask.
Okay, thanks.
Let's see.
Do I ship queens? Yeah, I ship queens about any place people want them. And if you're shipping queens, curious how they overwinter, I have people that's got queens from me all the way up top part of Maine up to Wisconsin. I ship them pretty far. Overwintering is basically the management of the beehive. You know.
Okay, let's see. I think I missed some questions. Dennis wants to know, when can I order queens from you?
I start taking orders. Actually, you can go ahead and start sending them in right now, because February is when I start opening up to the public. January is when I try to get my students, get all their stuff lined up. Packages will have the last week of March, and then again the second week in April, and probably every other week most of the summer. They have to be ordered and paid for.
Garza wants to know, when starting with 2 nukes, how fast can you grow those to make multiple hives?
Well, Philip was on here just a little while ago, and he had called me with, basically he bought 2 nukes and was 54 at the end of the year. And I've had 3 or 4 of my students that basically done the same thing. You're not going to be able to build equipment fast enough. Your whole trick and the secret is put the sugar to them. Whether you got a honey flow or not, put the sugar to them.
Good, because I want to expand mine this year too.
Well, not a problem.
I think we ran out of questions for a little while.
I don't know. I mean, I get on different chats. I've had people that want to talk to me, and then they clam up. I'm just an old beekeeper here. I'm not no Kenny Rogers or nothing like that. So, and if you ask a question, you're going to get an answer, I hope. So, I'm telling you right out, I'm not a master beekeeper. I don't have all the answers. I'm relating to you basically what I have learned works and what don't work. The best months to make queens are, usually you have to have a source of pollen coming in, and you got to have temperatures. So it's a waste of time to even try to make queens if the temperature is 55 and below. Because if you're trying to graft, or if you're cutting cells and you got more than one cell on a frame, they're going to cluster. And if they cluster off those queen cells, they're going to chill and they won't hatch.
No new questions here.
We got everybody snowing, but I'm happy to see we have 26 people in the chat, and they all had the opportunity to say something if they wanted to.
True.
I should have been a dentist. I could have pulled teeth quicker.
Yeah, Don, you're talking about 55 degrees. You talking about for lows or highs?
Lows.
Lows.
You need 55 plus to make good queens. And I would say if you're going to try to basically graft or cut a lot of cells and make the minimal amount of bees to a split, I would stay 62 and above.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a kind of a silly question here. Say I was making queens early, and it'd been warm, and you get a cold snap comes in. It shouldn't be there, and it drops down. Can you bring them nukes in a heated garage and just pin them up for a couple of days, and they'd be fine?
Well, I'll tell you what my experience was. I had talked to a guy up in Michigan several years ago, and he got a cold spell made. I think it was in the last part of September, and he's far enough up there. He got a really cold snap, and he had made 50 splits. And what he done is he had marked his stands with a number and the box with a number. And he took them all down, put screens on them, put them in his basement. He left them for 2 weeks. And then when the weather had warmed up, he brought them back out. And he said they seemed to do pretty good. I've never went to that extreme.
Well, it'd only be in the springtime if he's trying to get a jump on queen making or something. I thought maybe, you got a freak cold spell in there. You could move them downstairs for a couple of days. How long can you keep a bee pinned up? You can keep them pinned up 2 weeks without letting them fly? Well,
they're going to poop all over when they get out. It's just like everybody else, But queen rearing and making nukes and splits, it's always a gamble. Putting bees in a box and just making honey is less of a gamble. But if you're running maximum production on that hive, you're always running borderline swarming. And Jerry wants to know about putting bees in the shade or in timber. I have my bees everywhere, facing in all different directions, all different colors. I've got them in full sun, shade, in a low spot where there's moisture in there, like the dew, fog in a cold day. So I have not found a problem where to put bees. I just need more room to put bees. Well, Bill wants to know about rooftop beekeeping, concerns about wind. The only thing I would worry about is have a cement block on top of them, and I would try to run them with a deep and maybe one medium super max. I wouldn't go try to build them up. And as you've got 3 or 4 frames of honey seal, pull them out, change them out for empty frames. You have to adapt to wherever you're at. You can't make all beehives on a building because you're going to have them toppling over.
Bill asks, will the bees still go down for food?
Well, bees at an average, they usually go up. So that's one reason I try to put them in singles for the winter. It compacts them down, and they can hold the heat down so they don't have to travel. Well, we're going to run 1 hour tonight, and we'll try to run another chat next week. If people want to join, I'll throw a link up on my Facebook page. And Mr. Campbell, we sure do appreciate all your help tonight.
Sure, no problem. It's fun.
You got bees too, so you get firsthand information.
Yes, I do. I started watching you a few years ago myself.
Well, I'm trying to put out as much information, as possible, but we're trying to get so many different things going. There's so many hours in a day.
That there are. I'm up here in Buffalo too, by the way, so I won't see my bees probably until March or April.
Well, you don't want to put too many out yards because you got to keep your eye on them.
Yeah, true.
All right. Do you know when we want to end the broadcast? Do we just close the window, or do we have to shut the recording off?
Yeah, we can stop the recording whenever you're done.
Okay. Well, you just hit the record button again and it pauses it?
Yeah, and then I think we can stop it.
Okay.
Are you all done for the night?
Yeah, we're all done. We'll see everybody next week, and appreciate all the attendance. Spread the word. Everybody else come next week and have your questions ready.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.